Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're tuning in from. I hope you're having a beautiful day and welcome back to the Polyhedra Show. So I'm Anthony, and today we're pulling back the curtain on a process very few people get to see, let alone hear about or understand, which is, how research starts, how ideas evolve into prototypes, and how real world products get built from deep tech. So personally, I love science, but even more, I really love hearing from the people and learning from the people who are doing the actual work. So yes, I'm very excited for the episode today. And joining us is Dr. Zhihang Zhang, our co-founder and chief scientist at Polyhedra, also a brilliant educator, in addition to being a great researcher, and Sam Pearden, our chief marketing officer, who I know is very excited for this episode too. So after the fireside, as always, I'll be back for the community AMA. You all showed up a lot for this one, over 1,000 questions submitted. Clearly, you're all just as excited and curious as I am. So let's dive in. Thanks again, Zhihang, Sam, and for all of you for tuning in. This is the process of research.
Thank you, Tony. And hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in today. I'm very excited about this one. Not only being the co-founder and chief scientist of Polyhedra, Jiahang's a great friend of mine, and I met Jiahang several years ago now. So we've both done multiple different shows, but this is our first one together. So yeah, I'm very excited about that. And good evening, Jiahang, and thank you for coming in so late in Singapore.
Yeah. I'm also excited about the event, I'm the good friend of Sam, but we didn't have, the Polyhedra show together. But this time, it's good. It's a good
great,
time.
Man.
And
it's great.
Yeah.
Time's everything. We have a lot of exciting things to discuss. So,
yeah.
I thought, I've got a lot of DMs and a lot of notes, especially around our community, to actually really understand research in general. So I thought we could do, look at research as a topic today. And, to begin the discussion, I'd like to discuss about, what kicks off like a research project for you, like, back at Berkeley or even now, like how does the actual process start?
Yeah, that's a very, very, great question. And actually, that's a basic question for each researcher. I think maybe the process is similar for every researcher. It's just like because of your curiosity, you know something, you have some knowledge. It's just like you attend the university and you learn some math, you learn the course, then you know some specific topic like cryptography, and then you can go deeper. You can to get your master, or you attended like the some seminar courses, or you want to pursue a PhD. That means you will get more knowledge in the specific area, like cryptography, and then you may also find some new things in this area. There's some sub area like zero knowledge proof. Then you read some papers, you get knowledge. You think, okay, this is great. It's a wonderful topic. I want to explore it. Okay, let's just do some research and read some previous paper. Then you read, oh, that algorithm is beautiful and everything's good. But okay, maybe it is not very practical. How can we improve it? Okay, it's just some natural questions when you read some paper and on this topic. Then you can just start your research. Okay, you can get some ideas and you think about the problems, how to solve it, because you already have some basic knowledge, right? You know the algorithm and data structure, and you just think about, okay, how can we apply or improve the existing algorithm and data structure and apply these techniques to these specific problems. Then you improve it. Okay, that's great. And then you still need to do some tests, right? Do experiments, to have some prototype to validate your thinking. And finally, everything is going well. You just write paper and publish paper, and this is not the end, right? If you want to, make it make it better, it's good for you to make it to a product, right? Rather than we just publish paper, then we stop here, and we just make it into a product, and then we hope everyone or millions of users can use the product. It's really good, and I think this is just the whole process of the research, from study to some specific topics. Then you do some research and some new ideas and improvement experiments, writing paper, and final product. Okay.
Yeah, right on. I mean, that was really comprehensive, and it kind of leads into my next question. So when what's the process after you have paper to kind of production ready? Maybe you can give some insights. Obviously, you've already done this incredibly successfully with ZK Bridge, where you were the co-author of the paper, and then took it to a production-ready product, launched it, and managed to make a real difference, in the blockchain space, with millions of proofs and messages created globally from ZK Bridge. So can you maybe give a bit of insight from paper to product? Like, what's that journey?
Yeah. I think that's also a very exciting question. When you have the paper, that means you have some prototypes in your paper, because you need to do experiments in your paper, but it is very tiny, right? So what you want to do is you want to validate it not only works in your paper, in your tiny experiments, it also works for large scale statement and real world deployments. So
Sure.
You can extend your tiny experiments to a large scale experiments. Then with these large scale experiments, you can convince others, including your partner, your friends, or even VC. You can get some money, and you can buy more machines. You can do more and more larger and larger experiments. And finally, you can have a team, and this is engineering and research team. Then with this team, you can integrate all of these things into a system. And you also need to chat with your partners, your business partners, or other companies you want to build something together. And then you insert the system, your product, into the real world system, and to validate, okay, it works. So I think that's just the whole process, from the paper, tiny prototype, to large scale experiments, and finally the real world system, real world deployments.
No, that's really interesting. I love it. It's like the research is the blueprint. Like, you're the architect building the house, and then there's the same systems that you need to put in place to take that blueprint to production. I really appreciate you clarifying that. Another question I've got a lot is when we've been on the road together and people meeting you in TC, what is a typical day like with your co-authors and collaboration partners? How do you guys work together? Are you in a lab together? Is it remote? Does it matter? Like, how did you guys kind of collaborate to come up with such complicated theories and papers?
Yeah, I think I think we can use the example of my work together with Tianzhen.
Yeah.
We are teammates. We are also the office mates. So that's great for us. That means we can go to an office together. And when I have some idea, or Tianzhen has some idea, some new paper, Tianzhen just tells me, and we can read the paper together, or shares the ideas together. And then maybe just like we have morning talk, afternoon talk, we just chat, and we have some formulas, and we have some algorithms, and we will discuss all of things together. And then we can just go to have a meal together. So then we will leave the office, and then we just go to, okay, let's us find some delicious food, and then we continue our discussion. And the funny thing is that you may get some new ideas when you have a meal together. I don't know, but sometimes you get some idea from from somewhere that is very very special. If you know some research paper, you know the name is just from some coffee restaurant or some some cushion. The reason is just that they got the idea when they had coffee together at the shop. Okay, the same thing happens.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, we come from very different backgrounds. I come from the more
Yeah.
creative world, and it's similar. You know, you could be at dinner or coffee or
Yeah.
walking down the street, and that's where you have the idea. You know, so yeah, I love that. You know, names of your research.
Yeah. And
just-
last thing, if we find something new, we will go back to the office. We continue our discuss with the whiteboard. Okay.
I love it, man. I love it. No, that's very, very cool. And thanks for those insights.
And we will write down the ideas.
That's great. So staying inspired, I mean, what keeps you pushing boundaries in this space? Like, you know, I know you're at you know, an assistant professor, or I hope that's the right title, professor in Singapore, plus obviously co-founder of a you know, incredibly fast-growing startup. You know, what keeps you pushing boundaries?
Yeah, I think it's just curiosity, right? At least I'm very interested in this, you know, the topics related to zero-knowledge proof and ZK-ML, ZK-PyTorch, and maybe the broader ASAP. I'm very interested in this topic. I think it will have a big impact. And actually, we need the better tools, better algorithm for this area. So we want to explore it. And I also enjoy the feeling that, okay, I'm the first one in the world to know these things, or to know the best or the optimal algorithm. That is the, you know, the best thing for researcher. So these things keep me to push the boundary in this space.
Great. I love that, man. That's super cool. In terms of people or projects that influence your work, you know, maybe this is a question for younger Jiahong, but did you have mentors and people that you really aspired to be, you know, when you were entering into the space and still today?
Yes. I want to mention one professor, the Shafiq Golwaso, who was the director of the Science Institute at Berkeley, and also was a professor at MIT. And she was the Turing Award winner because of the contributions to many sub-areas in cryptography. And actually, she co-invented the concept of zero-knowledge proof with another professor. And I think that's great because, you know, sometimes it's hard for the, you know, normal people to think about the zero-knowledge proof. It's somehow contradictory because you have knowledge, but it is zero, and you have to provide the proof to prove that you know something. But actually, they can get no additional information. So it's just a wonderful idea. So it's super exciting, you know. And beyond, you know, the invention of zero-knowledge proof, she also has some fundamental work in the practical zero-knowledge proofs. Our optimal algorithm, Libra, Virgo, you know, some multiple practical ZKP protocols. You also know the expander, the fastest ZKP system. All of them are built on original prototype protocol, which is called the GKR protocol. And the GKR is actually the initials of three authors, and G stands for Shafiq Golwaso because, you know, her last name is Golwaso. So yeah, his work on zero-knowledge proof and the GKR protocol influenced my, you know, my whole research area, I can see.
But take it back from there. Like, what made you, like, you know, I've talked to Tian Chen in depth and you offline on this. Like, how did you arrive at zero-knowledge proofs? I mean, or how did you arrive at cryptography? You know, what was the process for you personally to get there?
You mean how how did I get into the world of cryptography and zero proof?
Yeah, so obviously you're at Jiatong,
Yeah.
I believe, and then how did it go from there when you were choosing subjects?
I see.
Because like how did you end up in this particular area?
Yeah, back to my undergraduate, I did 1 year internship at Cornell. You know, if you know, there is a club IC3 at Cornell, and there are many famous professors at Cornell at that time, like EGS, the inventor of the avalanche, and Elaine Shi, a famous professor, and Eric Jules, who is I think founding researcher of Chainlink. And so there are many professors who are interested in cryptography and blockchain, and there is a club. That means in this club there are many researchers. They are interested in this topic. Then when I interned in the lab, I began my journey in cryptography and zero-knowledge proofs. And I did some research together with Professor Elaine Shi. And after the internship, I got my PhD offer, which is from Berkeley. And I went to Berkeley. And then at Berkeley, I continued my research. Okay, in this area because I'm interested in the area, and actually this area is pretty new. You know, if you study other areas, there are many experts who are very much senior than you. But for blockchain, it's okay because Bitcoin was invented in 2008 or 9, so it's there is just very short history in this area. So I think I can also contribute more to this new area at that time.
No, that's great. I mean, that's I love, in Web2 circles, obviously there's the PayPal mafia. It feels like the Cornell mafia of, you and those guys sitting around a blockchain based club. That's a super cool story. And yeah, very, very interesting. In terms of your favorite projects and stories, what has been your kind of favorite, we can say research moment, or we can say technical breakthrough or product. What's been your personal kind of biggest achievement with your work so far, in your opinion?
I think I should see the ZKML. Okay, I published the first paper on the zero-knowledge proof for machine inference, and I'm super excited when I finish this work together with my co-authors, because at that time ZK is wonderful. It's a very beautiful, elegant tool, but the most popular area is machine learning. I think everyone cares about machine learning, but actually there are some security integrity problems in the machine inference. So I just want to solve these problems by zero-knowledge proof tools, and actually it works. Okay, and we also achieve the optimal complexity for our first protocol on decision tree inference. I'm super excited about this work, and I think this is at least one of my favorite research moments so far.
So this is 2019 roundabouts, right?
Around. We published a paper in 2020.
2020, yeah.
I think the idea is around 2019. You're correct.
2019, yeah. So back then, no one was really thinking about, the public consensus. I know I definitely wasn't thinking about AI like I am now. What sparked that? What sparked that real fascination with creating a verifiable layer? What influenced that decision to start on ZKML then? I understand now, but why then?
It's just machine is very important, and it has some severe problems. So you want to address the problems by your knowledge. So I think, okay, zero-knowledge proof is the key tool. I can address this. So this was my initial idea why I started the sub area.
Yeah, very cool, man. Very, very cool. Do you have any fun stories? I know you kind of elaborated on some good dinners and whatnot, but do you have any other stories to share about kind of your journey with TC? favorite meal or a favorite kind of event that you guys have been a part of?
Yeah, I think favorite meal, maybe shabu shabu. Do you know shabu shabu? It's a
Yeah.
Japanese hot pot. Yeah,
Yeah,
there
yeah.
is one restaurant at Berkeley, and every time when we want to continue our discussion, but both of us are hungry, then we will choose, okay, let's go to shabu shabu, and we will eat hot pot at the same time. We will continue our discussion, and if there are any new ideas, we will finish our meal. Okay, we are all full because it's a buffet, and you can just make sure, okay, we are full. Then we go back to office to continue our discussion.
What a great fuel hot pot. I think I agree, man. Some spicy hot pot kind of gets you going. So no, thank you for that story. And we only have about 10 minutes left before question time. So I think getting into research, that's another DM I've had regularly on both Twitter and Discord. Do you need a PhD to be a great researcher? What advice do you have for anyone looking to start out in a field that they're passionate about?
Okay, I see. The short answer is no. You don't need a PhD. Okay, if you are interested, you are curious about this area, you can start your own research, and actually you can do well without a PhD degree. What you need is just the curiosity and the passion, as well hardworking, right? And then you can solve some problems. We know, right? There are many wonderful researchers in our areas, including cryptography, blockchain, and zero-knowledge proofs. They don't have PhD degrees, but they still do very wonderful works.
No, that's cool. And for those people that maybe don't have the access to physical locations like a school or university, what resources or communities helped you, or would you recommend early on to start looking at?
Okay, I see. So related to resource and community, I think it's good. You can, you at least you can go to the university often, because there are many seminars, workshops, and classes. At least you can know this topic. Otherwise, you don't know. So what is zero-knowledge proof? I never heard about this, this term. But if you attend the university, you have the class of cryptography, you will know this term, and you will know what's the big challenge in this area. Maybe you are interested in these things. I mean, this is the wonderful research. And another thing is that if you do a PhD, then you can have the advisors, co-authors, and collaborators. So if you have any question, it's more convenient for you to ask them. But it's okay, we are in the AI, we are in the age of AI, and we have ChatGPT. So at that time, you can get everything what you want from the ChatGPT. So it's okay.
No, that's true, man. I mean, the world's at our fingertips, 24 hours, 7 days a week. Fantastic, man. And what's next? What's next for you? I mean, ZK PyTorch, ZKML, explain to our audience, what's next in terms of those two, in terms of those two getting to, I guess, a similar place to where ZK Bridge is and was.
Yeah, my focus will be ZKML and ZK PyTorch in the following years, because I think this will be the most exciting area for zero-knowledge proofs. And for ZKML, we have to improve the efficiency of zero-knowledge proof for large-scale statements. And for large language models, the current large language models is super big, it's more complicated. And how can we apply the ZK technology to these large-scale models? It's very interesting, but it also has some challenge, and we want to address this. We want in the future, if everyone wants the verifiable AI, even for the large language models, we can provide the solution with ZK. And for ZK PyTorch, I think it's also very important for the community. With this tool, you don't need to know ZK. You only need to know AI, and you can use PyTorch. Then you can use ZK PyTorch. Okay? You don't feel the existence of ZK, but then you get the guarantee. You get the verifiable AI. I think that's a wonderful thing. That's a product we should build for millions or billions of users.
Yeah, very, very cool. It got me thinking when you were talking. Now that you're also in your professor role, an educator, have you had students come to you with any ideas to assist with our ZKML and ZK PyTorch systems?
Sure. Yeah, I have multiple students working on this topic. Lu Tao, right? My student.
Yeah.
Also a researcher at Polyhedra, and we work together on ZK PyTorch. And we also have some other ideas. How can we extend the ZK, as I mentioned, to large language models, right?
Yeah.
To GPT transformers and GPT-4, and how can we integrate ZK to the the real model rather than the modified version or the quantized version, and how can we protect the architecture of the large language models? That means instead not only hide the parameters in the model, we also want to hide the whole architecture of the network, the models and neural networks. So this is some exciting projects I want to explore with my team.
Yeah, no, I love it. The leadership of being able to work with people that are below you, and then also have the aspiration of advisors and people above you is really admirable, man. And I've really enjoyed talking with you, and I'm personally so fascinated about this topic. And now, Tony, would you like to come in and throw some questions out from the community? Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, guys. That was a great fireside. And hello, Zhiheng. Hello, Sam.
Hey.
Yeah, very cool. I guess just to kick off, we did have over 1,000 questions from the community on this one. You guys did beautifully there, answering a fair few of them. So I know a lot of people are happy. But I think let's start from here. Like, I love, Zhiheng, how you mentioned, like you have the research, you make the discovery, you have that kind of eureka moment, and instead of just publishing and waiting, you move into real world application and product to help, the community. So this leads on to a question from Aaron Fade, which is, how do I know when to stop researching? My team obsesses over one more experiment. Is there a way we can get around it? Is there a hard rule?
You mean how to stop your research?
Yeah, well, like, is it when you know that it's like, yeah, I guess the question is how do you know when to stop? I guess when you know you got the...
Yeah, I think it's a hard question. Sometimes you don't know when to stop. It's hard for even excellent researchers to know when to stop. And actually, we don't know, right? Maybe there is just one step to the correct answer, to the success, but we don't know. And sometimes we work on very hard problems, but there's no solution. But you don't know. You will just, you will spend a lot of time, resource working on these problems. But anyway, I think if you are interested, you're curious about the problems, you just continue to work. If you have time, you have passion, that's fine. You don't need to worry about the stopping problem.
Yep. Yeah, cool. I think take it to market and keep making it better. That's what you guys have done.
Yeah.
So I think,
keep working, keep fighting.
Yeah, exactly.
That was a really great question, though. I mean,
yeah.
I think about that all the time from a product level of, when to get to market. It's like so loved hearing Jiaheng's response there. It's fascinating. Thanks, Tony.
Yeah, very, very cool. So I'd like to move on. We've got a lot of these questions are in a similar vein. There's been a few for you, Jiaheng. So I think as Sam mentioned, before I think either of us were even considering AI being, something so prevalent and influential, not only in the future, as Sam mentioned, but, right now, at that time, Jiaheng, you're thinking about how to solve granular issues with it. So with this magic 8-ball mind that you seem to have, a lot of people asking questions. So looking ahead, are you anticipating a shift in developer behavior or protocol adoption?
Can you repeat your question? Because
looking ahead, are you anticipating or seeing a shift in things that developers are researching? What people are researching? Is there any fields or anything topics that you think are really important for people to look at in the future?
You mean from the research perspective or the developer perspective, or both?
Both. Yeah, I think there's been a lot of questions in this vein, a lot of questions, people wanting to know your future calls and what things are going to look like. I think based on your initial paper, but yeah, I guess what people are doing in research, what you think people should be focusing on, and what you see happening and what you see happening in the research field.
Yeah, I think for research, as I answered previously, I will continue my exploration on ZKML and ZK PyTorch because I think it's the most promising direction. And I also encourage everyone who is interested in zero proof and verifiable AI and even AI safety to do some research on this area. It's really exciting and it's very interesting and it can make the big impact. For developer, I think that's the same. For ZK PyTorch, it's not just like a research topic. It's a tool, a compiler. So it's very useful for developers. And if you can contribute to these tools and later millions of users can use your tool, I think it's also give you the sense of achievement. And that's very important. So I really believe you can work on the general area of ZKML.
Awesome. There you hear it, guys. For everybody asking for the future and what to dive into, Jiaheng has let you know, and it is definitely ZKML and zero knowledge research. We've also had a lot of questions in this vein. So this is a question, maybe a two-part question from Ray and from Nami, which is, do you work with any universities or open research networks or communities? And what role does peer review play in the research process?
Oh, okay. That's a basic question. So in the university, you can work on research, whatever your undergraduate, master, or PhD student. Of course, for PhD students, their main task is to do research. But for undergraduate and master, it's okay. You participate in some research, and it's okay if you collaborate, with other professors, collaborators, your classmates, or everyone who share the interest with you. And you can build a research network all around the world. You can have collaborators in Europe, in the US, Singapore, China. You can do some research. I really like the open science philosophy. Okay, so we just keep it open, and you can do anything, whatever you want, and you can collaborate with everyone. And for peer review, you also mentioned peer review process, right? It's just like most happens when you submit papers. You submit papers to workshop, to make conference or journals, you will have the peer review. So the experts from the similar area as the reviewers will read your paper and provide the comments. And this is the process of the peer review. And sometimes your paper is accepted, but sometimes it's rejected. But anyway, you should get some constructive comments from the review process. and then you can improve your work.
Awesome. Thank you, Jiahang. I know some of these questions are very simple for somebody who's not a scientist, but personally, I love hearing it as well. Just get even the basics is always super cool. So I really loved hearing this one. So, how you mentioned before how exciting and something that drives you is curiosity, and how exciting it must be to be the first person to know something, discover something, or know the best solution to a problem. Personally, I don't know if I've ever had one of those moments. I hope I'm holding out. Maybe. I mean, Sam, you're an entrepreneur and an artist. I know that you've certainly had those moments. I'm a bedroom artist. Maybe I on my guitar I've had it, but nothing close to this year, Hung. But we did have a question from Victor, which I think is good, which is, what was the aha moment when you realized ZK could be scalable and usable at mass scale? Maybe you could even tell us about your paper that you wrote. What led to that? What was the inspiring moment that made you think about this?
I think the moment we published the first paper, my first paper on neural proof, which is Libra, and I can explain with a few sentences. We just built the first ZKP protocol with optimal prover time, succinct proof size, and fast verification. So that means it's just exactly the perfect scheme that we want in real world. And since we have the optimal prover, that means we can extend the previous techniques to large scale tools, because we have the faster proof generation time. And actually, we have the over 100 improvements based on the existing protocols. Then I realized that, okay, maybe the technology works, the protocol works for large scale deployments, and let's do it. Then we have the follow-up works, we do furthermore improvements, and we have ZK Bridge, and we have the extreme efficiency for these deployments.
Yeah, cool. Must be such an amazing feeling to have that, we've got it, we've solved it, or we've figured it out. What does that look like when you have a moment like that, when you realize that you've just you've solved a problem, or when you guys are in the lab or UNTC have figured out something on the road, what does that look like? How are you celebrating? You go out for dinner? Are you can you tell us a little bit about that moment?
I share some with Sam. The most beautiful thing is that the fact, and you realize immediately that you are the first one in the world, or even in the history, to know this algorithm, this new things. That means you extend the knowledge boundary for all human beings. And then you feel super excited. You get a sense of achievement of your life. And yes, for celebrate, it's just, I think I will choose, have a call with my parents or family. I just want to share the news with my family. I think that's the way I celebrate the success.
Awesome. So I love seeing behind the curtain of that. That's it's very rare that you get to talk with somebody, a researcher or a scientist of your caliber, and hear about that. So that's very, very cool. And thanks for sharing. Cool, man. So yeah, let's jump into, we've only got, I know you guys have to run in 5 minutes. So I do have a couple more technical questions from the community. I'm sure they would love to hear, but it's not so technical, but what was the hardest engineering problem in making your research, from hypothesis to production ready?
Yeah, I think that's a very good question. And actually, this is a common question for all startups or all companies. You have some technology, but how can you implement your technology and to make it production ready? Firstly, I have to see it's hard. But secondly, I think it's also the very exciting part of the research as well as the company. Right? You can use the products, the system, your technology in real world applications. And there are a couple questions, right? The first thing is it doesn't work in large scale settings. I think it happens in many cases. Okay, you have some beautiful results for tiny experiments, but when you have some the engineering, you want to integrate it into the large scale systems, it doesn't work. You don't know what's the problems, and maybe your algorithm is perfect, but you don't consider some other problem, like the network delay. That's something that will delay or that will affect your efficiency in real systems. And I think this is one of the the hardest problems. But finally, you can, at least at Polyhedra, we solve it. But I have to see that that's very hard. That's different with the tiny prototype with tiny experiments.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing, Jiehong. Very, very cool. I'm going to round this out with a very technical question here. Some of this question, I will admit, I'm not quite sure about in terms of discrete logarithms and such. But I'm sure you'll understand this question, Jiehong. So zero knowledge proofs often rely on assumptions like the hardness of discrete logarithms or elliptic curve pairings. How do you assess the long-term security of these assumptions in the face of things like quantum computing advancements, and what steps is Polyhedra taking?
Okay, that's a very professional question. Okay, and I think we in Polyhedra we also consider the quantum computing. So we want to design the secure protocols that is also post-quantum secure. So then you don't need to worry about the quantum computing. So we can guarantee our protocol is still secure even we have the practical quantum computing. But on the other hand, you don't need to worry too much about it, right? Because all the quantum is super exciting, but it's still in the early age of your practical computer. So you don't need to worry too much about it. And even there's some new technology and the quantum computers, we can always upgrade these things. And I think it's okay. We don't need to worry about it. And but at Polyhedra, we also consider these things. But I mean, for the general case, don't too much about it. You don't need to worry too much about it.
Yeah, cool. That put my mind at ease for sure, Jiehong. I think knowing the kind of questions that you've been asking for a long time before everyone else was thinking about these things, I have the utmost confidence that I'd love to see you with a quantum computer, man, and see what kind of questions you would pose to it and what kind of results you'd be getting. That's that's some next level stuff. So let's schedule in a show for 3-4 years from now, whenever there's a possibility, 10 years, and we'll see what you come up with. But guys, we've come up in 45 minutes. I know that we've gotten through a lot of the questions. Actually, a lot of the community will be very, very happy, and I can see that they are. You guys nailed it with the fireside. So thank you so much for joining us. And thank you, Jiehong, for the insights and the peer behind the curtain. I really enjoyed that. Thanks, Sam, for joining and bringing all the questions. And yeah, that was a really great show, guys.
No, my pleasure.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks
Awesome.
for you two guys. And also thank all of other audience. I always want to share my insights, my research, my some new ideas on these areas. Yeah, really like to talk with you guys.
Yeah. Thank you so much, guys.
Yeah, we love it. And guys, keep the questions coming. They're so great. And we really, really enjoyed this one. So yeah, keep all the beautiful questions coming. And these guys will be back soon, I'm sure. So thank you
Definitely.
again. And until next time, we'll see you guys next time.
Next time.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.